All right. So you've been asking us to dive into the writings of Ted Hoffman Jr. and, well,
We hear you.
we're excited to go there. And let
Yeah.
me tell you, this deep dive, it's going to be juicy.
It is.
We're talking about personal reflections, business plans, even some of his thoughts on like life and success.
Yeah, and this is like raw, unfiltered Ted.
It is. It's vulnerable. It's honest. Like, I feel like we're getting a glimpse of like the real deal, you know?
Yeah, you don't see the side of like a business leader very often.
You don't. So if you're looking for like the sanitized PR version of success, this ain't it.
No, not at all.
This is about the messy middle, the struggles, the lessons learned. This
It's the good stuff.
is the good stuff. And you know what? It's probably going to resonate with a lot of you out there
It will.
who are also, figuring things out as you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start with his story, right?
Okay.
Because to understand where Ted's coming from with his values, his business ventures, we got to rewind a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, his journey's anything but conventional. We're talking about dropping out of high school, right?
Whoa.
Navigating addiction.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah. And then ultimately, finding his footing as an entrepreneur, it's pretty remarkable when you lay it all out there.
And he does lay it all out there. Like, he doesn't shy away from the tough stuff at all.
No, he doesn't.
Which I think is what makes his perspective so valuable. It's like he's not just talking the talk, he's walked the walk,
100%. And it really shapes how he defines success. Like, he's been through the fire and come out the other side.
Right. And he doesn't see those challenges as failures, but as like stepping stones, right?
Yeah, exactly. Opportunities for growth. He's got this quote that I love where he says, "My greatest challenges became my most valuable teachers."
I love that.
Isn't that powerful?
It is, because it's so true.
Yeah.
We learn so much more from our mistakes, from the
Uh-huh.
times we fall down, than from, when everything's easy.
Right, when we're coasting.
Yeah.
This is where the growth happens, in the struggle.
Exactly. And speaking of growth, we got to talk about this whole value theory thing, because it pops
Yes.
up all over his writing. So
It does.
for those who are like, value what? What is it?
Yes. Okay, so in a nutshell, it's not like a set of rules. It's more like a philosophy, right?
Okay.
And it's about aligning your actions with your values.
Oh.
Which seems simple, but like how often do we actually do that? Right. We get caught up in the day-to-day, the hustle, and we lose sight of what actually matters.
Exactly. So value theory is like this compass that points you back to, okay, what do I really care about?
Yeah.
What are my non-negotiables?
It's about defining success on your own terms, not by someone else's standards.
100%.
Yeah.
And you can feel that in his writing. Like, he's not afraid to challenge the status quo.
No, he's like, let's tear down these old ideas of what success should look like
Yeah.
and build something new, something real.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got this great quote that really captures the essence of it all. He says, let's peel back the layers, demand truth, challenge the status quo, and create a new paradigm of success together.
Ooh, I like that. Together.
Yeah.
It's not just about him. It's about empowering others to define what success looks like for them.
Exactly. It's about creating a community, a movement of people who are living intentionally and authentically. And that actually ties into his passion for revolutionizing education, which we see throughout his writing.
It's like he's saying, forget everything you thought you knew about success in education. Let's rewrite the rules.
Yes. Rewrite the rules.
Which, knowing our listeners, is probably music to their ears. Speaking of rewriting the rules, we gotta talk about Ted's entrepreneurial ventures. And one in particular really embodies this whole value theory thing. Coinswag.io.
Coinswag. Yeah. It's a great example of him taking an idea and like running with it. It all stemmed from this frustration he had, right? He couldn't find any high quality, stylish crypto merchandise. It was like,
I want this. Other people probably want this too.
exactly. And that's how Coinswag was born.
Yeah.
It's like he saw a need and said, I'm going to create the solution.
And that's what I love about him. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He sees a problem. He doesn't just complain about it. He does something about it.
Totally. And he builds a community around it.
Yeah.
It's not just about selling merch. It's about bringing people together who are passionate about crypto.
He calls it a movement to decentralize style, empower crypto enthusiasts, and spread the love for this revolutionary technology, which is such a Ted thing to say.
Right. It's so him.
Yeah.
And you can feel that passion, that energy in his writing.
Well, absolutely. Speaking of his writing, can we just talk about how he communicates?
Oh.
Because it's different. It's so real.
It is. It's so authentic.
Like, he's not afraid to be vulnerable, to be himself.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
And I think that's what makes him so relatable. It's like, He's not some untouchable guru on a mountaintop.
Yeah.
He's just a guy who's trying to figure things out just like the rest of us, and he's willing to share his journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly, in a way that's both inspiring and relatable.
Yeah, exactly. He's meeting people where they are. And one of the things I love about his writing is how he uses language to create this sense of community, like when he calls his audience like-minded legends.
Oh, I love that. Like-minded legends. It's so cool.
It is cool.
It's like we're all in this together,
Yeah.
on this journey of growth and self-discovery.
Exactly.
And he's leading the way, but he's also right there with us, cheering us on every step of the way.
And that's a powerful thing.
It is.
To feel seen and heard and understood,
Hmm.
especially by someone who's achieved so much. But he never makes you feel like he's above you,
No, never. He's always lifting people up, empowering them to embrace their own potential.
Cool.
So I think it's safe to say Ted's ultimate goal isn't just about building businesses, it's about building people.
100%.
It's about empowering individuals to live authentically, to make a difference, to create a life that's aligned with their values.
And that's something we can all get behind.
And you know what I find really interesting? He doesn't just talk about personal fulfillment in a vacuum. He connects it to financial freedom, almost like you can't have one without the other.
Right, like they're two sides of the same coin, which in a way they are.
It's a pretty radical idea, though. Like, our whole system kind of pushes us in the opposite direction.
Totally. It's like we're conditioned to think we have to choose one or the other, financial success or personal fulfillment.
Exactly. But Ted's like, nah, you can have both. And it makes you think, right? Like, what if we've been sold a bill of goods?
Right. What if it doesn't have to be this constant struggle? And that's where things get really interesting, because he doesn't shy away from critiquing the current system, especially when it comes to money.
No, he does not. He goes all in on fiat currency and central banks. I mean, he
Yeah.
doesn't hold back.
It's like he's saying, look, if you really want to be free, truly free, you have to understand the forces that are controlling your money.
Yes. And he makes a really strong case for exploring alternative systems, especially cryptocurrencies, which I have to admit, I was a skeptic at first. But
Really?
the way he breaks it down, it just makes so much sense.
It's compelling, right?
Yeah.
Because he connects it to this bigger picture of individual empowerment and like reclaiming control of your life.
Totally. It's not just about making money. It's about having the freedom to choose how you live, how you spend your time, how you contribute to the world.
Exactly. And he ties it back to this idea of the American dream, right? Like, is it even attainable anymore with the way things are set up?
Right, because it feels like the system is rigged against the average person.
Exactly.
He actually shares this stat, I don't know if you remember this part, where he talks about how the US dollar has lost something like 24% of its purchasing power in just a few years.
Yeah, it's scary when you really think about
It's
it.
insane. Like, people are working their tails off and their money is literally disappearing.
It's like running on a treadmill. You're working so hard but going nowhere.
Exactly. So it's no wonder people are frustrated.
No wonder. And that's what makes Ted's message so powerful. He's not just complaining about the problem, he's offering solutions.
Exactly. He's all about taking action, exploring alternatives, like this whole concept of overflow budgeting.
Yes.
I'll be honest, when I first heard that term, I was like, what is this? Some kind of magic money trick. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it's not about budgeting at all.
It's a mindset shift.
Exactly. It's about abundance, not scarcity. He has this analogy with buckets that I love.
Big buckets.
Yeah. Remember that part?
Yes, it's so good.
It's brilliant. It's like, imagine you have all these different buckets in your life representing your values. So maybe your biggest bucket is family. And instead of focusing on how much money you have to spend on your family, you focus on filling that bucket with quality time, experiences, love. And when that bucket overflows, it spills over into other areas of your life, like your career, your health, your finances.
It's like this ripple effect of abundance. And it's so counterintuitive to how we're taught to think about money and resources.
Right. We're always told there's not enough to go around.
Right. Scarcity. We have to hoard what we have.
Exactly. But Ted's like, what if we flipped the script? What if we focused on creating abundance in all areas of our lives?
And it starts with our mindset.
Exactly. And I love how he connects it to this idea of making a difference in the world. It's like when we operate from a place of abundance, we're more likely to give back, to help others, to create positive change.
Totally. Because we're not so worried about scarcity. We're free to focus on what really matters.
Yes. And that's what I love about this deep dive. It's not just about understanding Ted's ideas. It's about applying them to our own lives, challenging our own assumptions, and creating a better future for ourselves and for everyone around us.
100%. And I think one of the most powerful things he talks about is this idea of cognitive dissonance. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, yeah, it's in one of his essays.
Yeah, it's like our brains don't like it when our actions don't align with our beliefs.
Right, like when we're doing something that we know is wrong, but we try to justify it to ourselves.
Exactly. And it creates this inner tension, this discomfort.
It's like that feeling in your gut when you know something's off.
Exactly. And he uses the example of Elizabeth Holmes and that whole Theranos scandal to illustrate how dangerous that can be.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, that whole thing was wild.
It's like she built this whole empire on a lie. And I think it's a cautionary tale for all of us, right? Like we all have these blind spots, these areas where we might be deceiving ourselves.
Totally. It's like if we're not careful, our egos can take over and we can start believing our own hype, even if it's not based in reality.
Right. And that's where self-awareness is so important, right?
Yeah.
Being willing to look at ourselves honestly and see where we might be fooling ourselves.
And that's where his message really resonates, I think. It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about being open to learning, to growing, to changing our minds when we need to.
100%. And that takes courage, right? To admit when we're wrong, to challenge our own beliefs, to step outside of our comfort zones.
Absolutely. And you know what else takes courage? Building something new, something different, something that challenges the status quo. And that brings us to another big theme in Ted's work, the rise of the value creator. So
Yeah.
what is a value creator exactly? How does he define that term?
Okay, so in a nutshell, a value creator is someone who sees a problem, a need, an opportunity, and creates a solution.
Okay.
They're not afraid to roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, and make things happen.
I like that. It's like that whole entrepreneur spirit, but it's
Yeah.
more than that, right?
Yeah. Way more. It's not just about starting businesses. It's about creating value in whatever you do, whether you're an artist, a teacher, an entrepreneur, whatever. It's about using your unique talents and passions to make a positive impact on the world.
And he sees this as being even more important in the exponential age, right?
Absolutely, because the traditional ways of doing things, they're not going to cut it in this new reality. We need people who are adaptable, creative, and who are willing to challenge the status quo.
We need people who are willing to create.
Exactly. And he uses the example of Jack Conte, the musician who co-founded Patreon, as a prime example of a value creator.
Oh, yeah. Patreon's a great example.
Right. He saw this problem. Musicians weren't making any money because
The music industry was broken.
totally broken. So he created this platform that empowers musicians to connect directly with their fans and make a living doing what they love.
It's like he cut out the middleman, empowered the artists,
Exactly.
and created a win-win for everyone involved.
Exactly. And that's what value creators do.
Yeah,
They see a better way and they make it happen.
I love that. So we've talked about value theory, overflow budgeting, cognitive dissonance, the value creator. It's a lot.
It is.
But it all ties together so beautifully, don't you think?
It does.
It's like this roadmap for navigating the exponential age, for creating a life of purpose and meaning and abundance.
100%. And it's not just about our own individual lives either. He really emphasizes that our choices, our actions, they have ripple effects.
Right, like what we do impacts the world around us.
Exactly. So it's not enough to just focus on our own personal growth. We have to use that growth to make a positive impact on the world.
So it's about more than just success, it's about significance.
Yes. It's about leaving the world a better place than we found it.
And I think that's what's so inspiring about Ted's work. He's not just talking about these ideas, he's living them
He is. He walks the walk.
every single day. And he's inviting us to join him on this journey of growth and impact.
And it's a journey worth taking,
It is.
even if it's messy and challenging and unpredictable, because ultimately it's about creating a future that we can all be proud of.
So well said. And on that note, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the work of Ted Hoffman Jr.
Yes, thank
It's
you.
been an absolute pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
It has.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving